this is a very English film. The operas of Gilbert and Sullivan are as much part of our language as Shakespeare. And I think they are very underrated. You may not love the works of Gilbert and Sullivan, but they are masterpieces. There really has not been such a marriage between words and music. It is so tight, the fit between words and music. But what fascinates me about them is the two men, Mr. Gilbert, who wrote the words, and Mr. Sullivan, who wrote the music. They were not friends. They didn't socialize with each other. I don't think they were particularly warm to each other. They each, Mr. Gilbert wanted to be seen as the Oscar Wilde of his generation or the Shakespeare of his generation, and wanted to do higher comedy. Mr. Sullivan wanted to be remembered for his classical symphonies, his operas he wrote. But as it happened, neither of them are remembered for that. They're remembered for their much more commercial, seemingly lowbrow work. And I think that's a dilemma that all artists, and I rather arrogantly assume include myself in that, we do have that dilemma of, do we do art or do we do more commercial stuff? But Mr. Gilbert and Sullivan will be remembered for their very commercial operas. And I have to say, they are masterpieces. If you only get to watch one Gilbert and Sullivan, do try and track down the Mikado. It is, in any language, it is wonderful. But the added element to the story of Gilbert and Sullivan is Mr. D'Oyly Carte. He is the man who saw something in Gilbert and in Mr. Sullivan, and he brought them together, and he struggled to keep them together because neither of them wanted to work together, but money kept them working together and gave them a very nice lifestyle. And it was Mr. D'Oyly Carte who was the catalyst, who kept bringing them together and saying, yes, another opera, and he was like a producer, really. And I think all of us artists, we need a good producer to keep us driven and be objective about what we're doing. And Mr. D'Oyly Carte was quite a genius. So this film is as much about their talent as about their very stormy, colourful relationship. And in the course of the film, I managed to reference each of their operas. They wrote 13. There's a 14th, but it's gone missing, unfortunately. And again, it was a pleasure to work with Wyn Davis as a conductor and the Northern Chamber Orchestra and some great singers.